of it. Well, welcome to episode 3 of the RuffTalk Sports Podcast. I am your host, Kelvin Ruffin Jr. Don't forget the Junior. Better known as Majin, better known as Trip, better known as KJ, but call me Kelvin. We're trying to be professional here. Shout out to my engineer, the J Virtuoso. Follow him on IG at THAJAY Virtuoso. Follow him on IG. If you're in the area, 757, you need an engineer, hit him up. One of the best in the game, especially if you're out here. Shout out to my brother Z, doing the Talk Your Shit podcast, TALKURSHID podcast. He just dropped the episode. I think it was yesterday. So shout out to him. Shout out to the viewers on YouTube. I am actually recording this podcast. I'm surprised I'm doing this. And shout out to everybody who supported me so far. I have a small base of consistent supporters, and I love it. Doesn't have to be big right now. It's just the fact that it's something that means the world to me. So, yeah, let's get started. Let's get right to it. I'm going to try to keep this podcast as short as I possibly can, especially with the draft tomorrow. We definitely going to have a lot to talk about. If you're wondering why I'm saying tomorrow, this is recorded on Wednesday. So the draft is tomorrow. We'll talk about it in a little bit. The first thing I want to talk about, get it out the way, LaMelo Ball is headed to Australia to play basketball. A lot of people say, well, it's probably because he wasn't good enough to get recruited to a D1 school. If you've been keeping up with the story, you would know that's not the case. You would know as of right now, he's really a lottery pick. But he's not old enough to get into the league, so he's going to have to take the unconventional route, and he's ineligible to play because he signed a contract to play overseas, and he has his own shoe. And in college sports, you're not allowed to make money off of your own likeness. And even though it would be him designing his own shoes and starting his own clothing line, they're going to put the tag of him using his likeliness to sell it on there. So therefore, it'll make him ineligible. So go to Australia. Go get your bread, brother. Andrew Bogut just came from Australia to go to the Warriors. You might as well go over there and get your bread while you can. He won MVP when he was in Australia. So no telling what LaMelo could do. And that's it for that. Now let's get to the obvious. Anthony Davis is a Los Angeles Laker. LeBron James just happens to be a Los Angeles Laker at the same time. There were 3 Lakers that were lost, and there was 1 that was kept. Kyle Kuzma was kept. Shout out to Kyle Kuzma. Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, and Josh Hart were all sent to the New Orleans Pelicans. I don't agree with sending your new talent over there, the talent that you were supposed to develop, sending the face of your franchise to another franchise. I don't agree with it, especially for Anthony Davis, who I feel like is worth maybe one of those in a lottery pick. I do not feel he's worth all of those, including the pick that they have tomorrow and the first round picks for the next 2 years. Now, the reasons why they traded those 2 first round picks is because I'm sure they think that they're going to be in championship contention, which means they won't be lottery picks for the next 2 years. I don't care about giving up a 29th or 30th pick in the first round if I have Anthony Davis and LeBron James. Theoretically. I think I would care if I end up getting 2 lottery picks next year because this trade doesn't pan out, because I don't have enough cap space to sign that 3rd superstar to make this pan out. And I don't have a bench to help anybody out. Not the smartest move, LA. It's actually a very dumb move. I'm not in disbelief, but I am, because the ultimate goal is to get LeBron these rings. That was the goal. They don't care about getting the Lakers rings. They want LeBron to get rings. They don't want LeBron to leave, yada, yada, yada. I don't think people realize LeBron is not going anywhere, regardless of whether they lose or win. The most he'll do is retire. He's not going to ask to go to another team. He's set where he is. He went where he is today for business ventures and for his children. He's not worried about trying to restart elsewhere. So I wish everyone would stop with that narrative. That's really that. The Pelicans won this trade, clearly. If you think the Pelicans lost this trade, it's because you guys are trying to think in the short-term future and validate it. If I'm the owner of the Pelicans, I basically just turned over a huge profit. I just turned over some huge chips. Because to be quite honest, the hope of what Lonzo Ball can be in opposed to what Anthony Davis was last year for them, it's almost even. And then you throw in Zion Williamson. You immediately turned over that profit. And Zion is finna get a crazy contract. So that cap space that they just freed up, actually I don't even think they freed up a lot of cap space because they got the number 2 pick. And Brandon Ingram, I don't know if he's still under his rookie contract. Because I know he was a top pick as well. But let's talk about their starting 5. Or at least what I would hope to be their starting 5. Lonzo Ball, Drew Holiday, Brandon Ingram, Zion Williamson, and from what I saw Julius Randle as the 5. I personally would not put Julius Randle at the 5, especially when you have Jahlil Okafor. Jahlil Okafor he played for Duke, and he is a true big man. Jahlil Okafor was talked about to be one of the best kept secrets and one of the transcendent talents of being a big man in the league because of the damage that he did while he was at Duke. And he is a great player. He was a great player while he was at Duke. I think that he should be utilized in the starting 5 as a true big man. Or have one of those guys come off the bench. I don't think Lonzo needs to come off the bench. I think Lonzo is arguably one of the most talented people on that team if he develops. And we'll talk about that later on as far as development goes. Lonzo right now is nowhere near enough to get them to a title, but he's shown traces of that greatness that he can achieve if he's given a chance from 1, and 2, if he develops, and 3, if he's fully healthy. We got to remember, Lonzo ain't really been healthy since he's been in the league. But Zion Williamson, man. Y'all got the number 1, Zion Williamson. That's the number 1 pick. And now y'all have the number 4 pick. Boy, the Pelicans won this trade. They won this trade by far. And even if they flop for the next 2 years, they have lottery picks, and then they got 2 more first-round picks from the Lakers. They won this trade. They won this trade long term, and it's not debatable. I don't see how that's even being debated. Yeah, that's really all I gotta say. I really don't see how it's being debated. It's not logical to even think that Anthony Davis alone is worth all of the stuff that they sent over. They were just trying to get rid of Anthony Davis. It's clear. They just wanted to get rid of bro. That was it. The whole the Lakers are the favorite to win the title now. Kevin Durant and Klay Thompson are the reasons for that because they both suffered season-ending injuries at the end of the postseason. Not the end of the regular season, but the end of the postseason. And the end of the postseason is the championship, the finals. They suffered season-ending injuries at that time. That's the only reason why they're favorites. Literally, that's the only reason why they're favorites. Anthony Davis and LeBron and Kyle Kuzma are not enough to win the championship. They're not. Period. They won't be. Even in the climate of Klay Thompson and Kevin Durant being hurt. Just imagine if Steph Curry and DeMarcus Cousins, or imagine if DeMarcus gets re-signed and they develop chemistry. Or imagine if Draymond hits his switch and he becomes what he was before they got Kevin Durant when they went 73-9. Draymond is a mid-tier superstar, if not low tier, but he is still a superstar nonetheless. Y'all can't deny it. He's still a superstar. Steph Curry is Stephen Curry. And we can't discredit the fact that if they do get rid of Kevin Durant, or they get rid of Klay Thompson and free up that cap space, or if they get rid of both of them and they free up that cap space, the Warriors will have enough cap space to sign another superstar. They could end up getting Jimmy Butler by accident due to these injuries. They could end up getting J.J. Redick by accident due to these injuries. Oh, I think I'll cover more of that on the next podcast. One thing that I do want to talk about is the Rockets, my favorite NBA team. They seem to be going through a lot of drama within the locker room. Chris Paul and James Harden are not getting along. There's not really anyone to blame in this situation except them two. Mike D'Antoni is not to blame. He's been coaching the same since he's gotten there. Chris Paul, when they had a chance last year to win, he got hurt. And this year, he just flat out did not play aggressive. James Harden was averaging about 35 a game. Every time you turn around, he has over 30 points. Chris Paul, on the other hand, you're wondering why he's not taking threes. He is helping out on defense, but you're wondering why he's not being aggressive with his shots. He's being overly selective. In every game, the Rockets are losing by 4 or 5, maybe 6 points. Or they would win the game by 4 or 5 or maybe 6 points. It was never any blowouts in those games. But one thing did remain. Chris Paul looked afraid to take charge. So this whole, I'm tired of losing to the Warriors, I want to win. If y'all are letting Kevin Durant, Klay Thompson, and Steph Curry break y'all up because y'all can't beat them, the only way y'all was going to beat them is if y'all had LeBron on the team. That's it. Y'all can't beat them without a third superstar. Y'all can't beat them with Kevon Looney shutting down Clint Capella. That's not going to happen. Y'all can beat them in the regular season with Clint Capella going off, but if Clint Capella only has 5 or 6 rebounds and 5 or 6 points in a whole game playing 40 minutes, y'all are not winning. So y'all really were not at full fault. Y'all overall team performance is what's at fault. James Harden not playing defense was not the problem. It was the whole overall team's performance. Chris Paul being overly selective with his shots. Clint Capella being terribly inconsistent with his play. That's what causes this to spiral downward and for you guys to lose to a Durantless to a Durantless Warriors, who I felt honestly played more like a cohesive team when KD wasn't on the floor and they knew he wasn't coming back. Just my personal opinion for that series. The Sixers now, I do feel like they are no longer a factor to come out of the East. I know that was a random segue. But the Sixers, Jimmy Butler's a free agent, and they're talking about he's going to the Lakers. I don't think that'd be a smart move, but hey, that's just me. Jimmy Butler is looking to leave. J.J. Redick is a free agent. I would expect them to keep J.J. Redick. But if they don't keep J.J. Redick, Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons, unless Ben Simmons develops a Steph Curry-like shot, they're not going anywhere. They'll make it to the playoffs because it's the East. But they're not making it to the Eastern Conference Finals. They're not getting to the position that they were in to play the Raptors. They might not even make it out of the first round. It's not even going to be close. That team is not going to disturb. It's not going to bother anybody. If any other teams are asleep, the Sixers team will not awake them. Sixers team will do everything they can to make sure them teams are still asleep. They're not going to bother anybody. They won't even bother a fly, period. If they lose Jimmy Butler and J.J. Redick, they're done for. Unless they pick up somebody else in free agency, which I doubt. But I don't know what the talk is. I'm not a GM. Whatever. That's really it for that. I think that the Sixers are losing more steam than what people are pointing out right now. They've lost a lot of steam. A lot. Joel Embiid, I think he'll come back better than he's ever been, but it's going to be hard for him to succeed if he loses Jimmy Butler, who was the closer for the majority of the year last year. And if they lose J.J. Redick, which was one of their most consistent pieces as far as shooting threes and keeping them in the game. And J.J. Redick's still nice. Don't get it twisted. He's definitely still nice. Now, the draft is tomorrow. The only people that matter in this draft, Zion, Ja Morant, R.J. Barrett. Those are the only people that matter in this draft. Ja Morant seems to be going number 2. and RJ seems to be going to the Knicks. Now, the reason why I wanted to point out the draft, not really to point out any sleeper picks or anything like that. There's a pick in this draft that I think is essential to the Pelicans being able to utilize the most out of their fourth pick. Because free agency is still going on, of course, but the Pelicans got the first and the fourth pick. Now, in this instance, when you have the first pick, like a Zion Williamson, you have room to breathe with this fourth pick. You don't have to pick the next best elite talent. In my personal opinion, drafting a shooting guard, which is what the projections say, would be redundant. Why are you drafting a shooting guard when you have 2 point guards, one of which is 6'7", and the other one is a regular point guard size? I think he's 6'2", 6'3", something like that. And you have Josh Hart coming off the bench. You guys are set as far as guards go. Your backcourt is fine. You know, you're good. Now, if I'm them, I'm worried about my big men, because if Julius Randle and Jahlil Okafor are the only two that can take me to the promised land, I'm going to have some issues. I'm going to have some real issues. That should not be my only form of savior, those two. No. So what I would do, I might hit up Detroit. And I might see what they're trying to do with that 15th pick. Because they do have the 15th pick. Now, I'm calling Detroit. So I got the fourth pick. What y'all want to do with Blake Griffin? Is he on the market? No, he's not on the market. Y'all just gave him too much money? Okay, he's not on the market. Y'all do have Andre Drummond, though. Oh, okay. And y'all have the 15th pick. So, being that it would be dumb if I give you the fourth pick for the 15th pick, throw in Andre Drummond in the 15th pick and you can have this fourth pick. Why not? Why not? You need a big man. And then with that 15th pick, you can draft another big man. I think Bol Bol is going to fall a lot lower because he's 7'2", but he's 208 pounds. That means he's injury prone because he's all skin and bones. I'm pretty sure Lonzo weighs just as much, if not more, than Bol Bol. I weigh more than him. Like, Bol Bol being 208 pounds at 7'2" is unacceptable. That NBA, hopefully he develops, as LeVar will call it, a grown man body. I hope he develops that when he gets to the league, because if he doesn't, he's going to be as injury prone as anybody else in basketball to ever have played the game. Knee's going to give out every game. Somebody going to end up injuring one of his ribs. He's going to fall too hard, dislocate his shoulder. It's going to be way too many things that are going to be wrong with him. And it's mainly going to be leg problems because of how tall he is. So, if Bol Bol falls to the 15th pick and I'm New Orleans and I just got Andre Drummond, why not? Why not draft Bol Bol? Let him develop. He can develop on the bench. Imagine Andre Drummond, Jahlil Okafor, and Julius Randle and Bol Bol, in your front court. I think the big men are in the front court. See, this is why I have a podcast, because I know some stuff, but I don't know some stuff, and I feel like that's something I should know. But I'll learn it over time. But as all of your big men, 6'10", 6'11", 6'11", and then 7'2", that's much more dangerous than anything that the Lakers have to offer, which is what you just gave up Anthony Davis to. That's what they got over there. Now, free agency is big for New Orleans right now because there is one person that is in free agency that it doesn't matter who they draft at the fourth pick. If they pick up this person in free agency with the way they played last season, they'll make it to the finals. JaVale McGee. JaVale McGee is a free agent, people. I said that last podcast. If New Orleans picks up JaVale McGee after getting Zion And after getting whoever they drafted number 4 and Lonzo and Brandon Ingram, who he just developed chemistry with last season, boy, it's not going to be pretty for the NBA, especially on the Western Conference, because they're going to be stacked across the board. Not stacked as in they have so much talent, they have all these superstars, but they have ball players that fill out every position on the court. They have a solid point guard. They have a solid shooting guard. They have a solid small forward, a solid power forward, and a solid center. If you're solid all the way across the board, and Alvin Gentry, he's not really the best of coaches, but let's not forget, he took the Phoenix Suns to 54-28. Steve Nash, Amari Stoudemire, Sean Marion, who else they have on that team? Leandro Barbosa. Those guys played for Alvin Gentry when they had that great season. He hasn't been to the playoffs since, but hey, he still has a job today, which means everybody must see something in him. So I think this is the most similar team to that team. You got Zion basically being Amari Stoudemire. I don't know who would be Sean Marion, because Sean Marion was also freakishly athletic. I think people forget about that sometimes. Lonzo Ball is the most equivalent to Steve Nash, other than Steve Nash shoots significantly better from 3 and astoundingly better from the free throw line. Still one of the all-time greats from the free throw line. But as far as court vision, being able to see, being able to facilitate, Lonzo was the closest thing that Alvin Gentry has had to Steve Nash. Period. Brandon Ingram, I guess Brandon Ingram will be Sean Marion. Yeah, that's not bad. But then Drew Holiday is actually a very good point guard. He's a great facilitator. So having somebody like him and Lonzo dishing the ball around, it's not like there has to be a dominant ball handler. And once they realize that, that's when they start clicking to playing like San Antonio kind of basketball. That would be great for that team. But let's not big them up too much. Alvin Gentry, you can either be the Greg Popovich of this team, or you can be the Steve Kerr of the Warriors. The talent of this team can overwhelm you, and they can start winning by themselves, or you can develop these young guys and make this into the new and improved Warriors, how Mark Jackson had the Warriors. You can do that right now because you have the lineup for it, and you have the first-round picks for it. You have the ability to make the playoffs, possibly as an 8th seed, and knock out the Lakers, who may be a 1 seed, or a 7th seed, and knock out the Lakers that may be a 2 seed. Or, if you get your stuff together in the offseason, you work these guys out proper, and you make sure everyone is developing proper. You got a nice staff around them to make sure that everyone is elevating their game, and they're developing great chemistry on and off the court. This team could be a top 3 seed in the Western Conference. They really could be. Now, like I said before, to me, this is not the most accurate, podcast. It's not called 100% accurate podcast. This is me. It's a RuffTalk Sports podcast. I may not be right, but I'd rather be the first one to say it, because it's not unreasonable. It's truly not. So Alvin Gentry, if you do your job and develop these players, you have the Pelicans coming out of the West and going to the finals. I'm a firm 1,000% believer in it. If Lonzo taps into his UCLA times, because he has a coach that believes in him, he's top 5 point guard in the league. Drew Holiday plays the same way that he played last year. They're a top 5 duo in the league. Brandon Ingram starts developing into the Kevin Durant quote-unquote talent that he could be. He's top 5 small forwards in the league, top 6. Zion comes out and he plays like he played at Duke. He's a superstar. And if Julius Randle, or if y'all pick up somebody in free agency, because I think actually Andre Drummond might be becoming a free agent. But JaVale McGee is still a free agent. The Lakers have not picked him back up. If y'all pick up JaVale McGee, man. Or if y'all play with the 4th pick and try to get a power forward, try to develop him, I wouldn't be mad at that. Because y'all have that risk to take, being that y'all got the 4th pick. Y'all don't have to go for the best talent. Now, with 2 of the top 5 picks, you can go for best talent and then go for best fit. That would just be me if I was a GM. I'm not worried about grabbing the best talent all the time. Sometimes I got to worry about the chemistry and how they fit into the system of the team. Alvin Gentry, make sure you do your damn job. Because if you don't, they're going to send you out of there. The color of your skin will also make it a lot easier for them to fire you. Okay? I hate to put it that way, but that is what it is. Last but not least, the Clippers, who were at the top of everybody's free agency list, are way too quiet right now. I'm either concerned for their organization or I'm concerned for everyone else's organization because they're entirely too quiet. Everybody's saying they want to go to LA, but we don't know which LA they want to go to. The Clippers won 6 games against the Warriors, while the Lakers didn't even make the playoffs. If they get JJ Redick, and they get Jimmy Butler, or if they have the goal to go out and grab JaVale McGee in free agency, this team is looking great. And Doc Rivers knows how to develop players. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I'm scared of their ability to be so quiet or if I'm scared for them. They could end up landing Kyrie. They could end up signing Kevin Durant, maybe not even to a max deal. They could pick up Clay. Anybody. But we just don't know because they're doing it the right way. They're staying quiet about it. They're not letting everybody see their hand as the Lakers did foolishly. The Pelicans showed their hand, and they showed that they didn't really have much, but they sold what they had as if it was everything you could ever want. Anthony Davis is a great player. He will go down as an all-time great. Not really on the high list of being an all-time great unless he turns into Kareem these next few seasons. But he is a great player. He is a great talent to have. He is an elite player. I will give him that. I don't want to seem like I'm discrediting Anthony Davis just simply because I don't think him and LeBron will win a ring together with Kyle Kuzma. But Anthony Davis is a great player. It's just a terrible move on the part of, hey, I want to win the championship. The Lakers sent everything over there except Kyle Kuzma. And then they played free agency so terribly last year. You got Rondo for 1 year, and you got Lance Stevenson for 1 year, and you got JaVale McGee for 1 year, and you got Tyson Chandler for 1 year. What are these people doing? Like, it's like you're trying to put chess pieces on the checkerboard, trying to see if they work. You can't say king me when you're moving the pawn piece. That's exactly what the Lakers tried to do last year. And now it's going to show. What they did last year is going to affect this year more than it affected last year. And they're going to have Anthony Davis and LeBron to override a lot of it. But if Anthony Davis goes down with one of those childish injuries that he went down with this year, and he's gone for months, or LeBron strains his groin again, or if he pulls a calf muscle, I don't think it's... All of this is for naught. It really is. All of this is for naught, and the Pelicans are probably going to be coming out of the West. Because Alvin Gentry has nothing to lose right now. He hasn't made the playoffs in a while. Actually, I think he did make the playoffs with the Pelicans. And yeah, he did. He made the playoffs with the Pelicans, and they ended up making it to the second round, which nobody expected them to do. And they got kicked out in 5 games, but they still made it. So, if Alvin Gentry can actually take that team to the playoffs, yeah, that's kind of scary, man. That's kind of scary to see him with all of this young talent and either partially develop or undeveloped talent that he could actually develop. He could. Man, so much to talk about, so little time. And that has been episode 3 of the RuffTalk Sports Podcast. Once again, I am your host, Kelvin Ruffin Jr. Don't forget the Junior. And my engineer, the J Virtuoso, Thajay Virtuoso. He's one of the best engineers that I've ever met, one of the best engineers that I've ever seen. He's doing this right now, and I've watched him evolve once again. Shout out to Z over at the Talk Your Shit podcast, TALKURSHID. Shout out to the viewers, the live viewers that I just had on Facebook. That video is not going to remain on Facebook. It will be saved, and it will be turned into a YouTube video. So, anybody who is watching this on YouTube, shout out to y'all, and we out. Ugh.